Bills lose an ugly one down in South Florida, 30-13. The final, they lose to the Dolphins, so the team split the season series. I'm Kevin Carroll. Welcome to the Buffalo End Zone podcast.
We are proudly presented by Toyota. I'm Andy Young, and Kevin, if I'd have told you that Josh Allen threw for more than 300 yards against Miami, you probably thought this was a runaway win for the Bills. Well, the exact opposite. They get absolutely boat raced by the Dolphins down here in Miami.
Yeah, this was an ugly game from start to finish, Andy. It didn't have, you could feel the vibe, even watching it on TV, that this wasn't the Bills' day. And Andy, interestingly enough, the majority of players that we spoke to after the game all said that the Dolphins came to play, and they basically did not come to play. And that's not how you win a championship in the NFL, Andy.
Yeah, a lot of guys said that the Dolphins wanted it more than they did or were more hungry than they were. I understand that to a point. You can come out flat in games. But to me, that's more of a smokescreen for we just didn't play well. We didn't do the things we need to do to execute in a game plan to go out and win a football game. And to my mind, you can give all the excuses about, hey, we didn't come out and play well. We didn't want it as much as the other team. But at the end of the day, they didn't have the horses to get the job done, especially offensively. Once the Bills' running game was shut down, James Cook didn't have a big day. That's the engine that drives this Bills offense. We know how they're built, and then it's everybody eats outside of that. Well, look at how this game played out. Cook gets shut down. The offensive passing game sputters throughout the first half, and then it gets going finally when Josh Allen's scrambling around in hero ball mode in the second half because he has to, because they're down. And they're trailing by more than 2 scores. So for me, this game, while the defense deserves some criticism for missed tackles, letting big plays happen, falls squarely on the offense.
Yeah, and it's very concerning at this stage in the game, Andy. We thought the ship was righted when they beat Carolina and they beat the Chiefs, but the same problems that we were looking at against the Falcons and Patriots, we can see in this game against the Dolphins. And we're past the trade deadline. I don't know what you can do at this point, Andy. It is what it is. The players are the players that you have. But you're right. When you talk about a game like this, when did the Bills actually start to move the ball? I think Josh Allen scrambled left, then all the way right, and then maybe left again, and gave his guys well more than the time they needed to get open. And that was the only way they were getting open in this game. Talked to our guy Stevie Johnson during the Bills Dolphins postgame show we had on TV, and he was putting it almost on Allen in the play calls that Allen needs to get the ball out of his hand quicker. But when your wide receivers are all locked up and can't do anything, it really puts Josh Allen in a tough situation. So is it Allen? Is it execution? Is it Joe Brady still calling cutesy calls when he doesn't need to be? And just, we could go back to that 4th down and 1, deep pass down the field, pick up the first down.
Yeah, that call specifically, I didn't have a huge problem with it. You could run the football there. The idea was not to pass the ball deep. The idea was to roll Josh out on play action and either run it himself or flip it out to James Cook. And that got covered by the Dolphins nicely. So Allen had no choice but to flip the ball deep to Jackson Hawes. I think Dawson Knox was in the area too on the play, both tight ends. So, yes, that was probably too cute, but that wasn't the idea. Here's my take on Joe Brady, generally. I think there's only so much you can do. We've talked about scheming guys open, right? Well, we're 10 weeks into the season here. Don't you think if he knew how to scheme these guys open, he would have done it? If he thought he knew a way to get Elijah Moore, Curtis Samuel, Keon Coleman, and the rest of the crew, Tyrell Shavers, to get those guys open, he would have tried to do it. I think they have, and a lot of people believe this, not the horses to get the job done in the passing game at outside wide receiver. Think about this, Kevin. At halftime, the Bills wide receivers had a combined 3 catches for 12 yards, and that includes Khalil Shakir and a catch by Keon Coleman. It's simply not good enough. When Allen is not able to just get the ball to Dalton Kincaid or the running game is not going, they have no answers whatsoever. And this goes back to the trade deadline point that we all talked about, and it was a big talking point on social media today. Bills fans were coming at me for carrying Brandon Beane's water, saying he couldn't make a trade or that he wouldn't make a trade, fans wanted me to say. I'm not going to rag on the fans too much, but here's the point that I want to make. Whether he wanted to give up what the asking price was, it should never have gotten to this point for this Bills offense. All offseason, we questioned, would everybody eats work again? Was that a one-off? Do they have enough downfield threat? Well, that doesn't mean just deep ball. That means guys that can get open in the short and intermediate areas as well. On the outside wide receiver crew, would Joshua Palmer and Elijah Moore and an upgrade from Keon Coleman, potentially from his rookie season, be enough? And Brandon Beane went on radio on WGR right after the draft and was angry and defiant that the guys were talking a little bit about wide receiver. Well, look, Brandon Beane made it clear at the trade deadline, he now knows he didn't have enough at wide receiver. And it's obvious to anyone who watches football. Yes, we can talk about Joe Brady. Yes, we can talk about Josh Allen being more decisive or making better throws. But the bottom line is this. There's no trust in the Bills' outside wide receiver game, and defenses don't have to honor it one bit. So they can sell out to stop James Cook. And a lot of times it works. Sometimes it doesn't. James Cook can get rolling against almost anybody. He didn't today. Well, guess what? When he wasn't able to do that and Dalton Kincaid gets hurt, you have no answers unless you're scrambling around playing playground football when you're already down by 2 scores. It's just not good enough.
So why is it then in the second half, and we noticed this against the Ravens earlier in the year, when the Bills' backs are up against the wall, they start to move the ball more on offense. And we saw that. We saw Keon make a play. We saw Jackson Hawes, I believe, had the second touchdown. We saw times that they were able to move the ball, Andy. The turnovers on offense really did them in. James Cook with a fumble, Josh Allen with a fumble, both guys fighting for extra yards when they could have gone down. And Allen just drove the team down the field to start the second half and threw an interception in the end zone because, to your point, there was no one open at all in the end zone for him to get the ball to, so he takes a chance and tries to squeeze it into Dawson Knox, and it gets picked off.
Yeah, Allen is not without criticism. This was not one of his better games by far. He's pressing, it looks like to me. It looks like he knows he's got to create magic. Think about in the second half. Yeah, the guys are getting open. Well, guess what? It's 90 degrees on the field down here, and the defense starts to get tired out. And Josh Allen's running all over the field, making plays, trying to make something happen. Can he be more decisive? Can he make better decisions? Absolutely. Can Joe Brady call better plays? Absolutely. Does he get too cute? Does he go away from the run game? All these different things. But at the end of the day, what are we doing here? Like, we're trying to excuse what's obvious and that it's just not good enough. Yes, Keon Coleman can make an occasional play. That was a great catch by him and a great throw on a back shoulder play for the touchdown. But he also dropped another one on a tip ball that he could have walked in for a touchdown too. Mm-hmm. And this is not just to blame Keon Coleman. Where were Curtis Samuel? He had one play where he was wide open, I saw. Another one went to Shavers. Another one went to Elijah Moore. But one isn't good enough. You need guys that can get consistent number of catches in the passing game, and it's just not happening over the course of the season. Yes, we can talk about one-offs with the Baltimore game when it's another case where a team is second half, the Bills just open things up, go high tempo, and throw the ball over the field. But when you're in a grinding pace early in the game that the Bills like to play, you've got to be able to keep teams honest if you're not going to be able to run the football. And not just keep teams honest, make big plays in the passing game. And it's just few and far between, and it's really going to come back, I feel like, to bite the Bills in the long run. Now, look, happy to be wrong. If they go on a magical run and everybody eats works and James Cook is running all over the field and Josh Allen looks like an MVP, but right now, I don't see it, and there's criticism to be had. Yes, I understand that the trade deadline's over. What are they going to do about it now? Now it's on Allen and the players and Brady to figure it out. But there is plenty of criticism to levy as to why, for the second consecutive year, it got to this point. Last year, they knew they needed a receiver and went in with everybody eats and wasn't good enough. Well, guess what? They traded for Amari Cooper. Brandon Beane made it plenty clear that he tried to trade for a wide receiver and it didn't happen. Whether that's because he wouldn't pay the price or couldn't match the price, whatever it is, whether they tried to get Jalen Waddle and wouldn't give up this year's first-round pick in 2026, beyond that, whatever, something needed to be done, and it's almost malpractice to have an MVP quarterback and make it this hard on him.
Oh, absolutely. And the only thing you have left, Andy, you mentioned Dalton Kincaid, hamstring injury. He was the Bills' passing game. Hamstring injury, that can linger, Andy, for a while. Anybody who's ever injured their hamstring can tell you that. That's concerning right there with where this offense is. Do you have Gabe Davis waiting in the wings to come? I don't think he's going to save the day, Andy, but someone else needs to be out there in this wide receiver and pass catching group to make plays. And we saw today, yards after catch weren't coming either with this unit when they were getting the ball.
Look, and this is not to slight anybody on the Bills team. Like, they're NFL players, right? These are guys that are among the best in the world at what they do. But as an overall group, I think it deserves more attention and needs more help than what has been given to him by this front office. And I think it deserves criticism. And look, people are going to probably rail on me in the comments about this. That's okay. But, like, it's obvious. We all see it. And they're going to have to figure things out. Now it really does become on the players. Stevie Johnson has said the coaches need to get on these players more and make them do the right things. That's his point, and he's continuously made it. He doesn't feel that the coaching staff is doing enough. Joe Brady has got to figure out ways to get guys open through scheme. You can't just rely on James Cook running the football and then play off of that, because teams are going to shut it down. There's weeks where you're going to be able to do it. James Cook will continue having his great season. But on the weeks where he doesn't and teams really sell out and they're successful, you've got to have an off-speed pitch. Sometimes you need the fastball. You need the pass game to be the fastball. And with Josh Allen, you should be able to do that. And it is just not consistently happening across the course of the season. A lot on Brady, a lot on Allen. And those receivers, like, somebody's got to step up. I mean, I don't know that Gabe Davis is a savior, but it can't hurt to get him out there, right?
Yeah, because no one else is doing anything. That's why, you know, we don't know the status of Gabe right now. We just know that he's back practicing as part of the practice squad. But, I mean, my God, if you're not putting him out there just because you think you're good with what you have, you're not. It's obvious. So maybe that's it. And we all know Gabe was no burner, but Gabe was able to get down the field,
right?
Which is
I mean,
just
go ahead, Kevin.
It's so puzzling, Andy, when you sit here and watch NFL games around the league and what teams are able to do that the Bills just cannot do right now. They just can't. You can't put together a drive, passing the ball, getting chunks down the field, and scoring a touchdown. It drives you mad watching this offense, especially early in games, or like the second quarter is just killer when you watch. They've had some nice opening drives and then disappeared until the second half. But, I mean, it is painful watching this offense operate.
And we're not talking about the 85 Bears, right, or the 2000 Ravens defense. This is the 2-7 Miami Dolphins.
Right.
Think about that. This is not a good team. This is a team that you should be able to go put up 35, 40 points against. They've allowed it to many teams this season. It's not a good defense. And for them to be just mired the way they were by the Miami Dolphins is incredible to me. I think the Dolphins did some different things with their fronts. Spencer Brown maybe alluded to that he was a little bit surprised by that. I mean, that goes to film study and coaching to a degree, that they weren't ready for what the Dolphins did. But come on, right? Like, you got to be able to do something in that regard. And then they shot themselves in the foot when they were moving the football. You mentioned it, Kevin. James Cook breaks free finally, fumbles the football deep into Miami territory. Josh Allen, they're in the red zone. Nobody's open. He tries to rifle one into Knox, not a great throw, and then it's picked off. And then later, tush push time. He sneaks it. Then he breaks free on the tush push, and he fumbles the football. So, look, plenty of blame to go around in this one, but to me, it just sticks out like a sore thumb. The passing game is inept when everything isn't perfect.
Yeah, and on the other side of the ball, they didn't get much help from the defense. De'Von Achane was able to run all over the Bills' defense, something I think we addressed going into this game that was a concern, that Achane's still a good running back, Andy, and is able to get his yards, and the team will never use injuries as an excuse, but my God, I can't remember seeing a Bills unit this messed up with injuries so bad that your eyes tell you there's way too many backups out there. How are they ever going to pull this off? Poor tackling popped up again in this one when Sean McDermott looked like he had his defense in the right place up against the Chiefs and the Panthers. But now we're seeing the shoddy tackling rear its ugly head again in this one.
Yeah, I think the defense just ran out of gas. Was it perfect through the first part of the game? Absolutely not. But somehow the Bills had only given up 16 points through most of this game before Achane broke those long ones late. I mean, Maxwell Hairston gives up a deep ball to Jalen Waddle. That's going to happen sometimes. But guess what? Maxwell Hairston also had an interception for the second straight game. Cole Bishop, coming off his great game against Kansas City, had an interception. So I think the defense would have done enough in a normal game for the Bills if they were even competent offensively. The tackling got away from them, absolutely. And like you said, Kevin, I can't believe the amount of injuries they've had, especially to that defensive line. I mean, it's really, really incredible at this juncture what these guys are going through. You lose Michael Hoyt last week. A.J. Epinesa out with a concussion. We know Ed Oliver's out for a long term and might not be back this season. Maybe he's back for the playoffs. Hoyt done for the year. And then, so you bring up Landon Jackson, the rookie who's had a trouble even getting a jersey on game days and being active. They bring him on, and he hurts his knee and leaves the game. And I saw him on crutches with a brace on his right knee after the game. That's certainly not a good sign. I mean, it's really unbelievable. Milano's been out of the lineup. Bernard's been out of the lineup. No Taron Johnson, no Christian Benford in this game. I mean, it's really, really remarkable that the Bills are somehow afloat even at 6-3 with the way this defense is banged up. And it's not a unbelievable world-beating defense to begin with. TJ Sanders, too. Didn't mention him. Right. He might be back soon, but, I mean, my goodness.
You mentioned Max Hairston there, Andy. I think that dude's the real deal and exactly what the Bills were looking for. Not only did he have that interception, but he was also running stride for stride with Waddle when Cole Bishop got the interception early in the game. He was right there with him as well. I'm impressed. I know we've only seen Hairston for a couple of games here, but even on that touchdown to Waddle into the end zone, I mean, it looked like Hairston was just fighting the good fight all the way to the end, trying to make up ground, and just got a little too handsy there towards the end. But overall, like I said, he looks like he's the real deal.
Yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of talk about not getting a whole lot of this year's draft class, but now you're starting to see it a little bit because De'Von Walker has been pretty good. He's had some splash plays for the Bills on the defensive tackle. He looks promising, right? TJ Sanders didn't get to see enough of him. Jackson Hawes, we see what he does and the value that he brings in the run game as an occasional pass catcher as well. Now you bring in your first-round pick, Max Hairston, and he at least looks the part, right? Like, he doesn't look like he's lost out there or that it's too big for him. I mean, you're going to give up some deep plays to Jalen Waddle. He's great. Look, the Bills sounded like, from reports, the Bills wanted to trade a first-round pick for Jalen Waddle themselves. So he's a really good player, right? Mm-hmm. Jalen Waddle, really fast guy. It's going to happen, but he was there. But his ability to continue to make plays, to not quit, to have the closing speed, to be stride for stride with guys, that really improves the look of this draft class because, like we've said time and time again, with the Bills and the cap strengths they've put themselves in, it's really important for young guys to play and play well. And Hairston looks promising. Walker looks promising. We know what we've seen from Hawes, and jury's out on a lot of the other guys, and really unfortunate what happened with Landon Jackson.
Yeah, that was.
And Dorian Strong too. Dorian Strong,
right.
He was coming on early this season because of the injuries. Looked like he was going to be a bit of a player too, and he's got a neck injury. Sean McDermott said it's not good when they look at the medical prognosis for his neck. So that's never an encouraging sign. Unfortunate there, too.
Yeah, that stinks. I moving forward right now, Andy, I know there was a lot of talk before the game, and I think the national broadcast guys brought it up too, was how much the Bills put into their game against the Chiefs last week and a possible letdown or hangover. I believe I heard that term used, that, this game just had all the markings of a trap game for a really good Bills team. I just don't feel that the Bills are as good as we thought at the beginning of the season, Andy. And it is what it is when you see an outcome like this.
And look, now they're really in peril when it comes to trying to chase down the New England Patriots for their 6th consecutive AFC East division title. Patriots go down to Tampa, get a really nice win over the Buccaneers, who, by the by, the Bills host next week. And now the Patriots are a game and a half up on the Bills, plus the win already in hand. So the Bills have to finish at least one game better than them down the stretch in order to win the division. And that's going to be tough because the Patriots' schedule is cake, and the Patriots are playing really well. So, we're looking really at potentially the Bills fighting for a wild card spot. And that's hard to say after they start 4-0 and then beat the Chiefs, and everyone's talking about the 1 seed again. Look, anything can happen. There's still 7-8 games to go for some of these teams. So there's losses out there. Like, we're just past the halfway point. But it just makes it really, really difficult for them to get what they needed, which was the 1 seed in a year where the Ravens are down, Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs are down. You beat the Chiefs. The Bengals are down, and you're kind of squandering it right now.
Yeah, you're sitting there looking up at the Colts and the Patriots and the Broncos, Andy, and none of the main players are really the main players at this point in the season. And you had the Patriots taking on the Buccaneers, a game that many thought would actually tell the tale of where the Patriots actually are right now. Well, they went down and won, and they look good at times doing it. And there the Bills are, losing to a team that they should not be losing to.
Yeah, and Kevin, you mentioned Stefon Diggs. How'd he do today?
Stefon Diggs, one of the catches Stefon Diggs made in the end zone was, I just watched it for 5 minutes on a loop at my desk during intermission. I think Mac Hollins had a decent game too for the Patriots. So that's got to drive you nuts if you're part of Bills Mafia, seeing those guys really playing key roles for the Patriots. And their rookie Kyle Williams showed off his speed, getting his first touchdown. They just look like a real dangerous offense, something that the Bills should be looking at and just being concerned. We can't do what they can do right now. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's concerning. Look, there's a lot of football left. The Bills could go on a run. They almost always do, right? They figure it out, and they get into the postseason. But this is a position they haven't really been in, where they're trailing a team that everybody, I guess the Dolphins a couple of years ago, where they really were up against it. I think they were 6-6, had to battle all the way back and ended up. But I don't see the Patriots falling off like the Dolphins did that particular year. So what's more concerning to me is, look, if you're playing great games and you lose games like, 31-28, and your offense looks good, it's just the other team got the ball back and scored late. Some of these games that you see teams go up and down the field back and forth, the concern is when they lose ugly, and it does not look good.
Concerning the rest of the way, Andy, they have that Buccaneers team coming up next. So we'll get to gauge how the Patriots performed against them, and now how do the Bills rebound from this? They lose to the Patriots. We talk about a rebound game down in Atlanta, and then Atlanta comes out and punches them right in the face to start that game. Bills tighten things up in the second half against the Falcons, then put together a real good game against the Carolina Panthers, and then knock out their rival, the Chiefs. But now you sit here and you look at this team, and there's just so many questions. With more football left to play, But right now, it feels like the team's in a pretty dark place. Like,
and it's because of two things to me, Kevin. And sorry to interrupt you
Yeah.
there. I thought you were pausing, but
dramatic pause.
dramatic pregnant pause, right? So it's two things to me. It's the passing game, the wide receivers on offense, and it's just the sheer amount of injuries on defense. And it makes you really concerned if you're a Bills fan that, look, this might not be their year just because those things add up, and it's a war of attrition. And how good can you be year after year? I mean, we see it with the Bengals, right? Like Joe Burrow, like great quarterback, great wide receivers. It doesn't happen for them every year. Lamar Jackson gets hurt. Doesn't happen for them every year. The only team it ever seems to really always happen for is the Chiefs, and even they're struggling right now to a certain degree with consistency throughout the course of the season. So, I mean, yeah, if you're Bills Mafia and you're sitting at home, you have every right to be upset, concerned, worried, or you can be optimistic and think, hey, you've got Josh Allen, you've got an experienced team, you're going to turn this around.
Yeah, I'm in the camp that I have no idea how they can turn this around. I mean, you have the Buccaneers coming up, right?
Yeah.
Then you go on the road and face a Houston team on short rest that's been playing a lot better. The Steelers, and then you get into the Bengals and then the Patriots and then the Browns. So, I mean, I could see, just looking at who the Bills have, I could see two more losses coming up before we get to late December, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they could lose to Tampa next week. They could lose at Houston, right? Like we saw what Houston did to them last year when everybody eats was not working.
Right.
They could lose to Philly. They could lose to Pittsburgh. They could lose to the Patriots or the Browns. I wouldn't expect, but the Browns sometimes have a really good defense. So, I mean, it's not out of the realm that this team is, sitting close to 6 losses at the end of the season and really scratching just to get in the playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd see it that way too. So, there we go. Buccaneers up next, coming off a tough loss to the Patriots. The game back here, Andy, it was snowing out to beat the band during the game back here in Buffalo while you're down in the 80-degree temperature down in Miami. So who knows? You got a Florida team coming up to Western New York. Maybe Mother Nature starts to play a role in things as we go through November and into December and helps the Bills out. But right now, they need more than Mother Nature helping them out to kind of right this ship.
Yeah, I got to tell a real quick story about my travels. I know everybody loves these. So everybody's worried about their flights getting canceled right now with what's happening with the government shutdown, all that sort of stuff. We get down to Tampa. We have a 5 a.m. flight direct out of Buffalo, down to Miami. I'm sorry, I had Tampa on the brain. So we fly direct, 5 a.m., get to Miami at 8:30 in the morning. We go out to breakfast. We try to go to the hotel to check in early. Our photographer, Corey, his room's ready at 11:30 a.m. Guess what time mine was?
3:30.
4 p.m. Mine is finally ready. Now, check-in time is 4 p.m.,
Okay.
but we're sitting here all day. So fine, I go to the beach. You could be in worse places. I hung out at the pool, waited for my room. I get in there. I'm sitting around at like 4 o'clock. All of a sudden, the door opens, and it's the housekeeping. And they look, and they're like, oh, I'm sorry, and they slam the door shut. I'm like, oh, that was odd. So I go outside a little later, I open the door, and there's just a garbage bag filled with towels and linens and stuff hanging on my door. So they had not, by 4 o'clock, they had not even finished getting the room ready, really. Then this morning, I go to take a shower. Didn't realize this last night or any time that was convenient before this. There's no shower curtain in the shower. And it's like time for me to get ready to go to the game. So I'm like, screw it. Taking a shower. Water's, I'm trying to avoid it, but water's flying all over the bathroom. It's all over the floor. Get out to go shave and brush my teeth. The sink won't drain. So I've got this sink. There's water all over the floor from the shower. Sink won't drain. It's a mess. But hey, look, it was, 88 degrees here, whatever it was today. So
a little bit nicer.
Life could be worse.
You shave after you shower?
Yeah, so I can see.
Okay. I usually do it before because I want to get all the shaving cream rinsed off my face.
Oh, I just do that in the sink.
All right.
Plus, like with the beard, like I know a lot of people shave in the shower.
Yeah.
But with the beard, like you got to kind of line it up a little bit. I mean, it's not helping me really. But Kevin, you saw a picture of me not too long ago of me without a beard, and you were like, "Oh God, never go back to that."
Right. You look like you should still be carded if you go buy booze without that beard on.
Yeah, I was a lot younger. It was like I think it was 10 years ago when we went to London, right?
Yeah. Little Andy Young. Young Andy Young. All right.
As I said before too, like you used to be a handsome guy.
Long time ago now, Andy. Gray
what's
hair.
Going on here?
All
yeah,
right, let's head on out.
Yeah.
Another 1:00 game next week. Bills Buccaneers in Buffalo. Post-game show comes your way with Stevie Johnson after that, and then Andy and I, as always, back here following that. And we'll be back on Wednesday as well as we try to move on from this ugly, ugly game down in Miami and shift focus to the Buccaneers.
Yeah, hopefully my travel issues give some Bills fans some levity after what was not comedy.
All right, get back safe, Andy. We'll see you soon.
All right.
As always, everyone, thanks for joining us.